Hey guys, welcome back to the Indie Housing Market Podcast. I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker. And today we have our guest, Evan Manship with Mainstay Property Group. We are going to speak to him about the wholesale market, how he can help us as agents. And as you can see, Kyle is not here. He is out busy doing his thing. So he'll be back here next week. So thank you so much, Evan, for being with us. And we really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Nice to meet you all. And you have such a cool office space. For those that are listening instead of watching, coolest office for real estate certainly I've ever been in. So
thank you. It
awesome
is pretty.
space.
I think we've been here, I hate to say 2 years, probably 3 years. Time goes by so fast. But yeah, downtown Carmel, close to so much, Midtown. It is a nice location. So glad you could join us. So we just wanted to speak to you because I know that you work with somebody that I like to work with, and he said you would be a really good person for us to pick the brain in regards to wholesaling. Because I know a lot of agents think that you are our adversary, are against us, are not helpful, taking people from us, whatever we want to say. And I know myself that is not true because I love working with wholesalers. So tell me how you got started in doing wholesaling.
Sure, it's interesting. One of the few stories of mine that actually is interesting. I'm a licensed broker, so I guess I can play both sides of the fence. I've bought things online, done the whole rigmarole, and I got looped into the wholesale side of things exclusively because my agent wasn't getting me enough opportunity. So rewind to 2008, and I was 18 years old. I was a senior at Center Grove High School in Greenwood, and as a piece of required reading for our class we were in, it was a class called Financial Planning for finance and accounting majors, or to be finance and accounting majors. We had to read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which many folks in real estate are extremely aware of. And it wasn't, hey, you should read this book. It was, you absolutely must read this book. We have a quiz over the cash flow quadrant on Thursday. So I read it, and I realized, wow, this is kind of cool. You know, you can buy real estate, do nothing, and live on the beach, and money just kind of shows up. So I want to do that. Went to Xavier University in Cincinnati, and the whole time was thinking, I just need to get out and go buy houses. That's all I want to do. So in a really unique time in all of our lives, I got to be young enough to understand what was going on, but not old enough to lose money doing it with the Great Recession. So I learned a lot about kind of foreclosures and what was going on, and when I got out of school, it was great, let's buy a house. So October of 2013, I bought my first house. It was a conventionally financed 3-bedroom house. It was already leased on 10th and Rural, if you're familiar with the intersection.
Oh boy, okay.
Which was interesting in 2013. Certainly, that was not fun to show my mom. But that being said, I conventionally financed a 3-bedroom house. My mortgage payment was $92, and the house was leased at $750. So
wow.
I made my payment day one. Day two, rent came in, and I cash flowed $600.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
how old were you?
I was 23.
23.
And I thought, why isn't everyone doing this? This is silly. I just bought it on the market. This is crazy. So we did that. My brother and I did that maybe 10 or 12 times. We raised some private capital, and we kind of went out and kept buying all these different things. And it came to a point where we were trying to buy so much, we'd raised so much money that we couldn't satisfy how much inventory we needed to continue to do that. So we were using a realtor at the time who was kind of half substitute teacher, half realtor, kind of like a side hustle type thing for her. And said, well, I can do this. Let me just go. I'll start knocking on doors. And for about a week and a half in 2014, right after I got licensed, I thought that I had invented off-market real estate. So quite literally, I thought that I was like the only guy that was buying anything that wasn't on the market in the entire country. So realized that wasn't the case. Realized it was a multi-billion-dollar industry, and just kept on keeping on. We put, if buying real estate was the flame for our organization, doing it ourselves was the kerosene-soaked rag, which really made it go insane. So once we started realizing we could buy off market, there was no need for a real estate agent. We could do this all ourselves. That's when we started to really build a business around identifying inventory, and that's where wholesaling kind of came about.
So that was started in 2014, you said?
May 2014 is when we started our wholesale efforts, kind of our self-procurement with inventory. Yes, ma'am.
Right. And so 10 years you've been doing it in some form of fashion, and then you had just said that you don't need realtors. So that's what everybody thinks, that you're against this. A lot of people do. But you work with realtors, correct?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah, I want to make that super clear. There's no animosity in real estate land toward, or at least in my world, toward brokers or wholesalers or anything. Just it's asking someone to. Someone said it the other day. It's like asking someone to dig a shovel and giving them or dig a hole and giving them a screwdriver. Different tools do different things, and that's right. All the brokers and wholesalers are. They do different things. They don't understand each other, and I think human nature is we don't know or understand or appreciate things we don't get. So that's me speaking from the wholesale side of things. We work with brokers all the time. But I think everyone nowadays, when you think about buying a house, you think about Zillow, you think about calling your realtor buddy. And it was weird going into that industry thinking that and then having my eyes open to that's not necessarily the case.
Well, finding off-market homes is extremely difficult because I know as a real estate agent, we do have to do that sometimes with the inventory so low, and we have somebody who wants to buy a house that's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath in Fishers, let's just say. We can't find them. But that is not something that we can easily canvas. You guys have a whole system of how you canvas and look for these now. I'm sure the way you started is now totally mainstreamed and done. So what is your process? Are you doing postcards to everybody? Or you're not knocking on doors anymore, right? You're not calling or what? I know you call after you get them, but how do you initially find these people? Are you doing postcards or?
All types of stuff. So every real estate group has a market. Everything starts and stops with an address. That's what someone told me a long time ago. You can't afford not to have some type of magnet to have addresses come through your pipeline. You have to have conversations to some degree that all revolve around an address. So we just realized that, I think, pretty quickly, frankly, out of luck, that we want to be where things start. There are 1,000 people that make money along the side of real estate things: contractor, broker, property manager, lender, appraiser, you can go on and on. But every one of those people gets paid based off of an address, and that's why we started where we started. We want to be the first people with the address. But we send all of our marketing proprietarily in-house, so we don't offshoot anything. We send postcards. We have a direct dial. We do have a door-to-door canvassing team, depending on neighborhoods that we do. We've dabbled in billboards and online and radio and things like that. So it really depends on the market. We are actively buying, selling in Indianapolis, Louisville, Kentucky, and Cincinnati. And you'd be stunned how many different markets exist or different types of people exist within those 3 markets. So all the above is the short answer to that question. But yeah, we do postcards and cold calling for sure.
Are you looking basically in the city center area, like Indianapolis downtown, or do you go into Hamilton County areas? Do you go into like Brownsburg? Are you canvassing everywhere, or what's your main niche?
Yeah, I call it 30 miles from the epicenter of downtown in any of those 3 markets. So I think there's like Columbus, Indiana is kind of a no man's land for us. But we would dabble down there just the same way. We've gone as far south as maybe Franklin, Edinburgh, gone as far north as Kokomo. So, I mean, anywhere within, call it 30, 50 miles of downtown is where our bread and butter.
Do you have an average price point that you're catching?
I knew someone would ask this. I'm disappointed I don't know off the top of my head. We track this, and this is a metric for us depending what it is. In Indianapolis, it's give or take $90,000 is our traditional acquisition price. So a lot of the stuff that we do is not your Noblesville, not your Zionsville type property. But again, the type of sellers that we're targeting are not traditionally motivated folks that own a $500,000 house in Zionsville.
Right.
So again, we are a service. We're a marketplace. That's what our group does.
When you get somebody, you're saying 90,000 roughly. So your clientele, the people that you're reaching out to, why would they choose wholesaling? Because that's another question everybody's like, so your prices that you're offering are, what is the percentage? 70 cents on the dollar usually, or?
It really, again, it depends on the avenue. It depends on the speed. It depends on the situation, and that's a very diplomatic answer. But people utilize wholesale because it's an option in their tool belt. The same way, any last little manufacturing service has a way to identify and procure inventory. That's all this is. It's just a way to buy it quickly, sell it quickly, move on. Liquidation. What's your time worth versus what's your money worth? So our efforts traditionally, gun to my head, we're getting a discount at maybe 20%. And then, if someone's going to hold me to this on the podcast, certainly.
No.
But
it's just to understand. I know there are people out there listening right now don't understand what the wholesale. What does that even mean? What does wholesale mean? So that's kind of where it started, was going with that question.
I was pulling in here and said, don't don't say this. Don't give this example. My father-in-law, I think, still thinks that I'm a realtor. I don't think he understands what I do professionally at all. So I found a way to explain it to him. I run a shop or an outfit that is the equivalent of a pawn shop for real estate.
I love it.
I buy for A, I sell for A plus B. I help people get out of situations, quickly. People that have a Rolex or a car or whatever it is that they just need quick cash so they can go do what they need to do. They don't go list it on eBay. They go to a pawn shop, get the money today so they can go solve their problem. Same story with me. Folks who sell to me don't have a pretty, pristine, renovated 3-bedroom house in Zionsville. It doesn't happen. So normally they're out-of-state folks. They live in Bozeman, and mom died. They inherited the house. They don't feel like flying to Indianapolis because they can't point to it on a map. Those are the people that we work with most times. So wholesale is the ability to buy for A and sell for A plus B. That's how our group operates. That we operate under that spread that we make between A and B.
Which is where it comes in that how you can have a relationship with a realtor is once you own this property, what's your plan then? So you've acquired it at whatever pennies on the dollar, and now your next step is to...
Yeah, obviously everything we do is resell, so we hold literally nothing for ourselves. I think that's another bad rap that wholesalers get is we, as the aggregate, will market, find these people, get them to raise their hands, buy the good ones for ourselves, and then option off the nonsense that nobody wants. My group doesn't operate that way. I can't speak to everyone.
Well, you would be holding millions of or thousands of houses.
It's a lot of capital to raise, yeah. It's a lot of money to sit there and have on the books for sure. But we sell everything, and that's where realtors come in. Certainly folks that have investor clients, man, that makes it really attractive. And that's an excellent way that gets lost in translation a lot with retail folks. They don't understand kind of the murky waters of off-market real estate. And they don't understand that just like any other deal, if you bring a buyer, you're gonna be paid a commission.
So you do work with realtors and pay them?
When I say daily, I mean very seriously daily. The best realtors that we work with just understand we're another lead source.
Exactly.
When we bring inventory, just like the MLS brings inventory. And if you have a buyer that's flipping or looking to add to their portfolio or wants to burn the thing down and build a new castle or something, that's what we do. We're a procurer of inventory here in Indianapolis, and realtors that make a killing, frankly, just for having that relationship with us.
And to do that, you need to be on the email list. So we'll work on that when we get done to finish here, that they can get on your email list. And that's how you have that relationship get started, right? You'll send out, we have a new one today, and then see what happens.
Yeah, and I would encourage everyone who's listening that, mailing lists are great. I can add you to the buyer's list, certainly. We have 6 guys on staff on our sales team. Jeremy, Mr. North, is one of them, who all that they do is develop these relationships. And to the point where if an address makes it out to our mailing list, that's great. You see it, but so do 23,000 other people. And
is that your mailing list?
A little in excess of that, yeah. But in Indianapolis, yeah. So we push the envelope for these people, and frankly, our sales team is compensated to make sure it doesn't get to that point. It doesn't get to that list. We want to make sure that you guys have the inventory that you want and you need before other people see it. And if it gets to that point, yippee, we're all winning. Right. And the guys are, again, they're incentivized to make sure that relationship is not just maintained, or not just developed, but maintained. So, yes, we work with realtors. We love it.
Well, and that, like, is one of the things I have you on the show is just to talk about wholesaling and how we can work together. And it is another lead source for us. And the other part of it, too, is maybe to talk about is there are times when I have somebody who tells me they want to sell their house, but they want to do it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I can't help them tomorrow because I've got a lot of stuff I have to do and to sell it. So we can reach out to you and say, is this something you'd be interested in? It's a vice versa, right? Mm-hmm. Like I can say 123 Main Street is available. They want to sell it. Is that something you can use? So
yes. In short, we have a gentleman on staff where all he does is develop those relationships, kind of on a seller lead magnet, if you will. So similarly, you will be paid a commission if you bring us a seller, just like bringing us a buyer. It's the same thing. We just serve as a syndicate that can identify both things at once and get those properties sold in as little as 24 hours. We're buying one today. We identified yesterday. Yesterday we bought one. We identified the day before, or identified Friday. So we 24 hours isn't unachievable for us, so long as we have a decent title. We can go. Fast would be a very understated way of putting it, but liquidation is the name of the game.
Yeah, and do you have anything to do with helping buyers or the investors with hard money?
We've done it in the past. Hard money is my favorite thing. I come from a finance background. Every one of our deals is kind of pre-qualified, if you want to call it that, for private financing. So if there's someone who you're working alongside that maybe wants to do a deal but has cash tied up in 3 or 4 other investments, we can certainly make that happen. We joke with folks and we say, as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4. We charge 12% interest, 3 origination points, and we need 4 pieces of information from you. Bank statement, all the other nonsense. But with no appraisal, no nonsense, we can close in 24 hours. So is it the cheapest money? Hell no.
Right. And how long do you let them hold?
It's a 6-month note. Depends what they're going to do with it. So it just kind of depends. I mean, everything depends with us, but speed is the name of the game. If you're willing to pay a little bit of a premium, or in a seller's side of things, if you're willing to give a discount for a little bit of a time premium, it's the easiest thing ever for us. But time is the name of the game and what we do. We're buying at a discount and we're doing it ultra fast, and we can get you money and be paid a premium for it, but we're doing it ultra fast.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so proud of you at your age, of where you started and how you've been able to grow this and learn about real estate as being a very good avenue for people to, make a living in a different way.
Thanks, yeah.
It's
a very different way. Yeah, it depends who you ask, yeah. It's a goofy thing. I still have hair, which is a win. I'll be 34 this week on Sunday, so I've got a handful of really good people around me that make that super easy, and bumping into people like yourself have forgotten more about real estate today than I'll ever know is super helpful. So we know a lot of the right people, and that's by no accident. But we try and do it the right way. It's a tricky thing. Off market's murky, so navigating things with an ethical, moral, but fiscally prudent state of mind is a difficult thing to navigate, but we think we do it well.
Right, and that's one of the things Kyle and I say all the time is this is a very small town. You can burn bridges real quick or make really good relationships, and you guys have a really good relationship with a lot of people and have a good reputation. And to keep that, there are some maybe that don't as much, and like I said, small town, so everybody who can work together will do better. How many wholesalers are out here in Indianapolis, do you know?
Well, any jerk that watches a YouTube video and has a pen can be a wholesaler nowadays, so I think that's a tricky question.
Yeah.
But there are maybe 3 or 4 that I respect that do a great job. Ben does a great job. Brett at Simple does a great job. A group called New Paradox does a great job. So they're all good. They're a handful of guys that can really find good stuff that are not going to burn that bridge in perpetuity. You know what I mean? And I have no qualms recommending them to folks seeking inventory. But our group decided to do it a little bit differently, where instead of just going insanely deep with Indianapolis, we've really expanded our reach to different markets. So Cincinnati is a huge market for us. Louisville, Kentucky is a huge market for us, and Columbus, Ohio is right on the horizon as well. So we love Indy. Indy's home. Indy's our flagship market, but really we go where the value is, and that's what we encourage our investors to do the same thing with. I don't buy in Lebanon. Sure you do. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Anybody would for the right price. So
right, and one of the things we learned with COVID is the sprawl is happening. So, but there are, people need to sell everywhere, but the outskirts, there's just no end to somebody needing to sell somewhere. And our phone rings all the time for people coming from California, especially.
Sure.
I want to buy in Indianapolis. I'm like, how did you throw a dart and land on Indianapolis? But that phone call comes all the time.
It's wild.
It's known as a very good investment location.
It's wild. We, speaking of that and out-of-state folks, I think it's something I'll kind of shamelessly pitch here. We started in 2019 an event that we host every single year called the Mainstay Investor Symposium. And we brought in a lot of people it started as the out-of-state investor symposium, just because we had so many phone calls that were doing that. We were doing trade shows out west every month, going out there and at meetups and doing this type of stuff every single month, going and talking with folks. We said, this is kind of a waste of time. Why don't we do this at home? Why don't we bring everybody here, and that way they can see the city, and we can go get drinks and have fun and make it some big thing. So we did our first one in 2019. And we did our last one last November, and it's our biggest one. We had just shy of 300 people that came through the doors. Doing that. We did it at the Omni downtown, but we're doing it again the second week of November, and it's it's $100 to attend, and you get 2 days worth of open bar, and you get a ticket, meet all the people, and get all the resources and all that stuff. So I don't make any money on it, but it's a hoot to have everyone kind of be in one spot that really knows what they're doing, so that everyone can
we can learn from each other.
It's awesome.
What's the premise for that? Is the investor to come in and know Indianapolis and get to know you and just kind of see the area, and next time when they see a property when they're sitting back in California, they know, oh yeah, I know that.
It started as that, and then it kind of turned into local people just the same way. It started with out of state folks. wanting to know about the difference between Carmel and, Broad Ripple.
Yeah, why this place over that place?
Right. And it turned into, wow, like, I don't know how Shelly's group can best, how we can best work together, maybe with different leads that we get or whatever it be. Or, you get your phone rings about California guys looking for, houses in 46218 that need a lot of work. That's something we can help with a lot. So it turned into kind of a weird, aggregated mastermind of Indianapolis people that know what they're doing. So now it's kind of a big culmination of those two things. But anyway, that's the second week in November. Normally it's the first week in November, but Taylor Swift had other plans this year. So second week in November this year. And we just get everybody together to talk about how we can be better.
So just talking about that right now, in case we don't do this at the end, we will, but in case we don't, give your information out now so people can get maybe on that list and reach out to you and say, I want to know about that, be able to come to that, if they want to get on your mailing list to get that. So how do they get a hold of you?
Sure. So I highly encourage you not to get a hold of me. I am notoriously difficult to get a hold of. My phone never leaves Do Not Disturb. But the best way to get in touch with teams regarding inventory is invest, INVEST, at Main, like the road, stay, property group.com. Invest at mainstayproperty.com. Or you can reach out to the main line. I don't even know what the number is anymore. 317-505-5144, I think. But invest at Mainstay. You get an automated thing, and you'll be added to the list immediately. So that's the best way to get in touch with us, and the best way to start getting inventory in your inbox. At that point, we're off to the races.
That's awesome. Anything else you want to put out there that you want people to know about you or how the relationships work, or anything important?
Yeah, I think one thing I put out there, because I think it needs said out loud, it's an elephant in the room with off-market stuff, with the term wholesaling. It's such a nasty rap. It's turned into like the used car salesman of the industry. And I think it's worth noting that there are good, like everything, there are good actors out there. And I'm not saying this about myself, but there are a handful of really good people here in Indy that are just experts at what they do. And they bring inventory, they bring good things, they bring change to the market. So not necessarily pleading to give wholesaling a second chance, but wholesaling isn't a dirty word. It needs to be done. It has to be done. It brings about maximum value to the market. I think there's an avenue for all folks that exist in the real estate realm to best utilize wholesaling. And being in your swim lane while knowing how the other one operates, there's nothing dirty about that. So regulation is a weird thing. I think there's regulation that's necessary, and it's imminent to make sure that there are only good actors in this space. And maybe that's a 2.0 conversation.
That is something that realtors do bring up, is it's kind of like some people feel there's a wild, wild west out there for wholesaling, and there is no control on what's happening.
It's true.
So that has been brought up a lot in our industry.
Right, and rightfully so. So wholesaling is not a bad thing in and of itself. There are bad people that do it, much like there are bad people that do everything. But regulation is imminent, and what I share with folks with our group is, make sure when you're interviewing, you're working with a wholesaler, make sure that person's got some scars. Someone told me a long time ago, beware the man with no scars. There are a lot of people that got started in this industry in 2020, 2021 that thought they'd struck gold, and they very likely don't work in this office anymore. So if you can interview a wholesaler who has some scars, has some stories, knows how to navigate things and do so the right way, I think wholesaling is an excellent, necessary part of the real estate investment arena.
I think too, just you're talking about the necessity of it is when I started in 2008, when you were talking about, you kind of started with everything. The situation with short sales, foreclosures, and everything like that, your information may come in front of somebody right at the right point where they won't lose their home. They'll actually save and get some money out of their home and can move forward.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. That's a really rewarding thing.
It is. And so you help in many instances where, like you said, they just need to sell, and the price that they need to just move on and get out of the situation they are in saves them from a lot of things. So the wholesale market is helpful in many different ways. But when I was in 2008 and watching people go through what they were going through, and the amount of realtors that did not know how to help people through a short sale was very sad. And I took classes and was then able to do short sales because I got not the degree, I can't even think of the word, but when people are getting ready to lose their home, sometimes they just give up, and they don't have to. There's ways out, and this is one of them. Short sales, one of them. We're not having those issues as much right now, but it does happen. So realtors just understand that if you come across somebody like that, this may be an avenue out as well, just to get their equity back out and move forward. And I know some of the other reasons people say is, why would you wholesale? And we know that there's some that's like, it's just as is. And
that is a dirty thing to say. No, I'm kidding.
It is as
it's
is,
literally dirty, yeah.
More than anything. Yeah, like I have purchased some wholesale houses, and they don't come clean and everything. Like you need to sometimes bring a dumpster before you even start working on the property. So you are seeing a lot different types of properties as well.
Anyone that wants to talk about real estate all the time, you're more than welcome to chat me or my team up. We have a networking budget we love to use. And you can get the guys talking about fun houses they bought, fun stories. Man, that's just that's a whirlwind of an afternoon.
Do you have a
right
TikTok that you put all that stuff out?
We have a TikTok guy who's a handful of times he's been instructed not to put those pictures up there because it's that bad. It's terrible. So yeah, if you ever want to have fun in an afternoon and have nothing else going on, give my guys a ring, make them take you out for drinks or something, and we can talk about all the crappy houses we bought. That's kind of the blessing, the dirty part about being a wholesaler is you always get to see kind of the. It's sad sometimes, you know. It's sad. You get to see the other side of the coin. With again, I love coming up to Midtown Carmel. It's amazing. There are plenty of places that aren't like this, and plenty of people that don't live in this space.
Right.
And you see the other side of it. You know, someone that's had an inherited house, and the squatter's been inside for 3 years, and you know the deed's chopped up 1,000 different ways, and there's fraud here, and you got to clean this up. And it's unfortunate because all you see, much like being a real estate agent or broker, I mean, I can imagine how all people see is the glamour of it, but no one sees the last second inspection disaster, or the appraisal thing you have to write up to make sure that run over there and screw this thing in to make sure the deal even closes, and what you have to cover out of your own pocket to make sure that I've been there.
Yeah.
No one sees that. They see, you know, the Range Rover and the big check at the end of the day, which I've been there too. So there's a lot of dirt that goes on behind the scenes in every regard, and wholesaling maybe more so than most because quite literally you can't walk into some of these houses, and it gets nasty quick. So
yes, the urine-soaked floors and all that kind of stuff, and that's when I first started. When I thought real estate was just like you said, it's just clear cut. Going to go sell pretty houses and make money and move on. And a lot of people get their real estate license because they think the same thing. But I learned real quick that real estate many, many times is not a happy process. And there's a lot of issues in the background that are causing them to have to sell. And you just never know what is going on. And you do, like you said, some houses you can't walk into. You walk into some very dangerous areas and it's the gamut. I do work in the Hamilton County area, but we do go down to Indianapolis and other areas, and it doesn't matter. There's just, you never know what's going to be on the other side of today.
It's a wild thing, and I can go eons and eons about wholesaling specifically, but anyone who's investment minded knows that that's where money is it's really tough to buy a perfect house and invest in that perfect house. Just hope it goes up or something. I don't know, but
everybody wants that, so the competition's going to be stiff.
It's insane. It's insane. So we always target properties that need value add, and unfortunately, there's a lot of value to be added on some of these things. So that's the nasty part of wholesaling, but it is a necessary part of what we do. Those people have to sell their houses to someone, and getting those things on the market to the point where they're financeable is impossible most times. So wholesaling not only is a cool thing, it's a necessary thing for our industry.
It's also necessary because the areas that you're doing this in then can also start to be cleaned up. So if we get the investors in there on these houses that haven't been able to be taken care of or are falling apart or having major issues, once they get into the right hands and everything, the street can start to do better, and then everybody starts to win. So that's another necessary of it.
Yeah, and sure, at the end of the day, it is competition. Technically, you could get that listing, but I would encourage. I think it's worthwhile, and maybe something we do. I'll put together a portfolio of the houses we've done and send. Just given. Would you want this listing? No. Would you want this listing? No. I mean, there we go on and on and on and on and on of people trying to bid on this thing. It's impossible to sit there and say that these things are identical, all else equal. So there's room in the pond for both people. I was talking with Shelly offline about, it's equivalent of someone asking you to dig a hole and handing you a screwdriver. There's no way to do that effectively. You need a shovel, and that's where brokers and wholesalers are different. They're both good for different things.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and giving a little bit of information about wholesaling and having the ability for people to reach out to you and maybe get a relationship with you in many regards.
Sure.
And we'll see, like maybe in the future we can have you back and just kind of see if life is still going good for you.
I'd welcome
And
it.
we hear a baby's on the way.
Babies could be here any second here. I got one person.
Do you
who
have
can
your
call
phone?
me.
I was going to say, is your
do.
phone on?
I do. My wife can call me. Nobody else hasn't rung yet, which means no child. But here
Well,
in the next couple
congratulations on that. Hope everything goes well with that.
Thank you very much.
So much.
Thank you.
I'm going to go into the stats real quick because that's what we do at the end of the show is talk about this. And like Kyle's not here, so I'll do Kyle's as well. In Carmel, only 38 houses hit the market the past 7 days, and 15 of those pended, and a total of 24 pended. So we had quite a few of those just leave the market. So inventory pretty slow and low in Carmel. Average days on market in the past 7 days was 17, median was 5. Currently, there's 156 active in Carmel. That's up. That is up for our inventory and has been a little bit lower than that for the past few weeks. So as we've been saying, we are seeing an inventory uptick. 132 homes sold in the past 30 days in Carmel. Still list to sale ratio about 99%. So all of those people, I'm going to say this because every single town I'm going to talk about is 99% to 99.5%. There are no lowball offers really out there. I've had buyers call me and say they want to look at a house because they think it's, going to be able to be, purchased for 80% off the dollar. That is not happening, and I don't know why that is a thought out there right now, but there is still a seller's market out there, and we are at 99% list to sale ratio in all these towns I'm talking about. So there is no lowballing right now. I don't know why that's thought right with people out there. Average days on market in the past 30 days was 25 with a median of 5. So we're staying at about 5 for the median, but still under 30 days, and that's still really good. Westfield, 27 hit the market. 9 of those pended, but a total of 35 pended. So low inventory for the week hit the market, and we 8 more than we got. So 192 are currently active. 50% of those are new builds, as always in Westfield. Sold were 131 in the past 30 days, 99.5% list to sale ratio there. Average days, 43, median 17. Westfield has a little higher days on market because of those new builds. One, the new builds are there 4 days on market. We see those stats coming through. But also if you are a home that's a resale, you are competing extremely strongly with those new builds, especially if your home's built like a 2017 to 2024. Strong competition with the new builds. And Fisher's 49 hit the market there, so that was a lot. 11 of those pended, so not very many of them, but a total of 29. So a little slower on the pendings in Fisher's. 32 average days on market, 9 median. There's currently 217 homes active in Fisher's. That's high. That's, again, seeing an uptick in inventory in Fisher's, which is really good. 185 sold in the past 30 days. List to sale ratio is roughly about 98.5%, so a little bit less than Fisher's. Average days on market in the past 30 days was 22 with a median of 7. So median is going up. I'm sorry, the average is going up a little bit, showing that in the past 7 days, but not much, 32. Noblesville, 37 hit the market. Only 13 of those total pended, but a total of 25 in the past 7 days pended. Average in the past 7 days was 20 days on market. Median was 7. Currently active in Noblesville, 179. Another good show of inventory increase. Sold 102 in the past 30 days. 99.5% list to sale ratio. And days on market average was 26, a median of 5. So these days on market are staying steady, have been for like 4 or 5 weeks in all of these towns. In Zionsville, 12 hit the market, 5 of those pended, but 12 total pended, so negative 0 inventory there really grew. Average days on market, 42 in the past 7 days with a median of 10. And there were 61 currently on the market in Zionsville. 51 have sold in the past 30 days with an average list to sale ratio of 98.5%. Average days on market 17, median 8. So their days on market are creeping up a little bit in the past 7 days. And that is the stats. Real quick, sorry, I know you guys like to hear the stats, so you probably just don't want to get delved into it. Just here they are. Write them down in the towns that you're really interested in. And if you guys have any towns you would like to add, we know people are asking us to add some towns. If you do have a specific one, please let us know. And we may be able to start adding some other towns because I know a lot of people say these stats help. And anything else you guys want to talk to us about, or if you'd like to be on the show, let us know. But I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group. Thanks so much for being with us. You can reach me at 317-201-2601. Give your information again.
Evan Manship, Mainstay Property Group. Invest, INVEST, at mainstaypropertygroup.com. I'm sitting here looking at Shelly's Carmel stats and thinking, man, we have 3 or 4 deals in Carmel right now someone would be happy to have. So invest at mainstayproperty.com be a great way to get started.
Currently available?
Currently available, ready to rock and roll.
All right, you guys get on his email list maybe. But I get it first. I get first shot.
There you go.
All right, thanks. See you next week. Bye.